conference. Please, questions in English.
Jannik, thank you. Congratulations. This afternoon, did you play the match of your life? And what did it feel like playing that match?
Match of my life, I don't know, but it's for sure very, very important. As I say, it helps a lot the last competition that is a team competition, and because you get a lot of energy from your teammates, from the whole team, and then the crowd is different. And I really enjoyed playing today. It was a great match. I started off really well, and obviously in the second set he raised his level, and the third set I just tried to hold my service games and waiting for a good opportunity, which arrived on 5-all, and I took it. And obviously it was a very crucial match for the whole team, and at the end of the match I was really happy for the team to be at least able to play a deciding doubles, and we played really good, and I think it was a really positive day today.
Jannik, I just wanted to ask you about the 3 match points that you saved at 4-5 in the third set in the singles. Can you just talk us through what was going through your head? How did you remain calm in those moments, and what were you trying to do in each of those points?
I know that it was a really important, obviously, important game. We changed not for so long for new balls, so I knew if I'm gonna serve well that maybe I have some free points. But I had to stay in the present moment. It was love 40, and he missed a quite easy backhand, which gave me a little bit of confidence and belief. And then after I served twice, really good. And nothing, after this kind of games, your energy level and then mental level, it's racing, and I think this helped me today.
Jannik, over here. I'm not sure anyone else can maybe say they've beaten Novak Djokovic twice in one afternoon. What does that achievement mean to you?
Yeah, it means a lot. Obviously, before the match, we were talking that it was a really important test today. Trying to understand what to expect before the match, and then I think we made a good tactical moment also before the match, and obviously playing it is a little bit different, but I think I have to be really proud about how I handled the situation. And as I said, I'm just very happy for all of us, for the team, and tomorrow we have a great opportunity. We know this, but in the other way we will try to stay as relaxed as possible, keeping the smile in our head, which is important also, and then also to be happy to be here. It's not so many. For me, it's the first time that we can play a final in Davis Cup, which it means a lot for us.
One last question in English. Over there.
Jannik, just looking forward to the final, and to the other guys, please, as well. Apparently, the Australian team that you're facing in the final, you'll be playing de Minaur, presumably, in the second match, and you've got this extraordinary hold over him. I think he's only going to take 1 set off you. How much of an advantage do you think that is for you, and what confidence does that give you?
Well, we don't know who is gonna play.
Se ti faccio giocare.
Yeah, we have to decide. We have to. I have a lot of hours in my leg. This I know. If I play against him, it's gonna be different. Finals, as I said, it's always different. But let's see. It's his decision. He's the captain of the team, and so he can answer you that.
What do you say?
Thanks, Jannik. No, obviously it's our point of power. Jannik give us a lot of energy, give us a lot of confidence in ourselves. Obviously, he's a great player, but he's not only a great player. So he's a great person. That's what I like. So, yeah, he's probably in the first position to play tomorrow.
What do you think of the Australian team?
Strong, different.
Ready? Play.
Hello, guys. It's going to be the quarterfinal between Jannik Sinner and Tomas Machac. Of course, the first men's singles quarterfinal that we get in Miami this year. The first women's has already been done. We had a stream for you as well, along with Daniel Collins beating Caroline Garcia, of course, 6-3, 6-2. She's now 4-0 against Garcia and actually winning all of these matches somewhat comfortably, which is a bit of a surprise. Two players who have not played each other yet, Jannik Sinner, Tomas Machac. Well, the favorite is clear. Let's be honest. Jannik Sinner has been a god this year. Jannik Sinner has been a god in Miami over the years. I mean, 2021 final, 2022 quarterfinal, 2023 final. So, well, maybe he hasn't won the event yet, but, you know, he's pretty much done everything you can do outside of winning that event in just 3 editions. So, yeah, it's an insane achievement for Jannik. He's in the quarterfinals again, so he keeps up that streak. He's 19-1 for this season as well, recently losing to Carlos Alcaraz in the Indian Wells semi-final, which was his first loss of the year. Does Machac have any sort of shot? I mean, we should wait and see. Yesterday, Chris O'Connell was up a break early against Jannik. That did not last long, of course. Talon Griekspoor almost beat Jannik, but I can't really say that Griekspoor was ever the better player. Like, he got to 5-all in the first, played a couple of like really good defensive shots, which of course isn't what Talon is known for, and then sort of managed to keep it close with Jannik for a while. But I mean, he was never really on the front foot in that match, you know, despite leading 7-5, and I guess he was serving first, maybe. No, he was serving second in the second set, but yeah, 7-5 and stuff. Like, despite being up a set, he was never really in control of that match. So yeah, it's gonna be hard to beat Jannik. Let's see if Machac can do it. Who knows? Maybe it's gonna be some sort of a weaker game here or there from Jannik. That happens. Sometimes Sinner might do that. Also, you know, Machac can kind of play this as if he had nothing to lose. Obviously, that sort of talk, like, you know, it doesn't really work because there's always something to lose. The stakes are high for him as well, ranking wise, and well, prize money. I think if at his stage of at this, like, sort of the stage of the career where he is at, just recently getting to the main tour, that might be still a motivation. But, you know, points wise and just sort of getting a semi-final at such a massive event. Currently, I mean, Tomas Machac has already secured his top 50 debut with this run, regardless of how this match ends. But the stakes are so high if he could keep going. And basically, let's see if he has anything to throw at Sinner today. We might see a couple of different versions, I think, of Machac today. One would be sort of how he played the Arnaldi matchup yesterday, which is just like smart, composed, allow the opponent to kind of hit himself off the court, if that is ever a possibility. But against Sinner, that might not be a thing, right? Against Sinner, that might not be possible. So we might also see just sort of Machac throw all of that away. Just throw the kitchen sink at Jannik and try to attack the net as much as possible. Try to follow up all these shots he takes early, get inside the court, move forward with every stroke. We'll see. I mean, there might be that approach in Machac here today as well, especially if he sees that playing in a more composed fashion is just impossible because, he's just not going to be hanging with Jannik. Who knows? So far, he's 15-40 down, so not a great start. The first point was actually nicely played by Tomas. He got to the net, managed to get Sinner on the stretch, had an easy put away, but then he loses the next 3 points. There was a forehand winner on the line from Jannik cross court. Then Machac commits a backhand unforced error, and let's see what happens on this break point now. So far, I mean, the guy who is comfortable trading of the baseline is Sinner. Sinner, so much quality on his backhand, on his forehand right now, shot for shot. No one can really match him on the tour at the moment. And if that's how Machac tries to play it, like tries to get into these straights of the ground, I do not like his chances in that sort of scenario. So let's see if he actually has anything else in his toolbox for today. He should, he's obviously not he's not a one-dimensional player. He has a lot of ability to adjust, lots of quality just overall. So I would like to see, just some sort of mix-up. I don't know if it's going to be just pushing forwards to the net, or is it going to be maybe throwing in a slice or two and try to set up an aggressive ball here or there. But if he's like sort of just neutral trading with Sinner, I don't know if you can really beat Jannik like this right now. But yeah, today also another quarterfinal coming up, of course, will be Daniil Medvedev against Nicolas Jarry. Medvedev and Sinner met in the final of Miami last year. Now they can play in the semis. It would be a great match. I think we are very likely to get that, but let's see. Let's not take Machac and Jarry's chances away from them, and let's give them a chance to produce the upsets. They are actually like two of the maybe Machac wasn't as much of a giant killer before this event, but he beats Rublev, and it was clear that he could produce some big upsets against Karen Khachanov at the Australian Open. He like wasted 1 billion breakpoints, while Nico Jarry, of course, is a player who like has an excellent record against the top 10. Not as excellent as Fabian Maroshan's 80%, but definitely excellent. And to be fair, of course, Maroshan will also like have to maintain that 80% record. So far, it's just 5 matches, but it is pretty insane. Can Machac get something going here? Because so far the forehands he's throwing at Sinner are just not that dangerous. And indeed, Jannik will not miss. Jannik will have that shot tolerance to just contain it. And eventually, it's Machac making the error, which was a pretty key point already, despite being the second point of the game. But he was love 15 up, so definitely doesn't want to let Sinner to like go on a run of games already. I think Jannik at the moment is both a fantastic front runner, but from behind as well, he's amazing. So, he hasn't, to be honest, he hasn't had to play catch up this year in like any match really. So, other than against Griekspoor, of course. In Rotterdam, when he dropped a set to Monfils, he was up a set, then lost it. At the Australian Open against Djokovic, he loses the third set. So yeah, it's really been a while since he had to play catch up, and I guess today he will not be forced to, unless Machac can maybe strike back here. Very nice volleying point here. I mean, he just manages to slap that backhand. Didn't even like go for a particular direction here, but just the way that he takes it so early, the special timing that he possesses, running straight at the net. Beautiful volley as well. The forehand technique, really good. So maybe this is the Machac that I was talking about earlier. Maybe this is him knowing that he just cannot be trading with Sinner. 15:30 now, so the Czech will be looking to give himself a bit of an opportunity here to break right back, to not allow Sinner to consolidate. Let's see if that's a possibility. Another part of why we're sort of expecting a Sinner to cruise is probably the serve, right? He does kind of have a major advantage on his service game, if not even with the quality of his serve, but mostly with the quality of his serve against most players on tour right now. But that's a point that Machac will regret. He kind of had everything played out for himself. Tries to switch, tries to change directions to down the line of the backhand. His trademark shot, 100%. His trademark shot that's been working so well on the Miami courts too, because basically the height of the bounce, the conditions, the way that the ball simply reacts to the surface. I mean, it's just perfect hitting zone for Machac a lot of the time. So that was a real possibility. Of course, it's still a low margin shot, but sometimes when Tomas Machac is just, on fire, that shot does not seem low margin anymore. He's just landing it every single time. Of course, the main example maybe this week was how he won the last few points against Andy Murray, which was not even a good match by him, like for the most part. He was very tense, he was very nervous, he was choking quite a lot in the third set. The crowd was also getting to him, it seemed, because they were like cheering on his double faults, like going really crazy for Andy. But in the end, he actually pulls off this incredible run of 4 points. Very nice reactive return here too. Just gets it straight at Jannik's feet. I wasn't even sure if it landed in. That's how close it was, but he gets the deuce after all. And it's going to be a double fault from Sinner's racket, so we have a chance for Machac to break right back. He's definitely been flirting with it the entire game here. Had a few moments when this could have been a possibility. It didn't become one, but right now he gets the chance after a great return at 30-40 and now Sinner double faulting. So let's see if he can fire back at Jannik right away. Gets the return in, which could be crucial because he actually neutralized it with like a very, I would say, Hail Mary return, but it works. It works. I mean, it forces Sinner to just start playing backhands crosscourt with Machac. And eventually it's actually Jannik who's going to miss here. So 1 game all. Machac manages to break right back. And for the, well, let's say in the second game, he definitely looked more the part of, believing, let's say, and really trusting himself to trouble Sinner. We'll see if that's actually enough. We'll see if that's actually going to be enough to do that. But he definitely looks like he believes more than he did in the first few points when he just kind of came out and didn't have an idea how to behave, how to approach that game. And let's see if he can, especially if he can keep that up with a hold here, that would be massive and give us a great chance at a very entertaining first set. Think that's out as well, so 30 love up now. Nice body serve at Sinner on the first point. The second one, he kind of sets up an easy ball for himself on the forehand. Also after the serve, doesn't maybe take advantage of it fully, but Sinner still makes a forced error. Great serve here, and Jannik somehow gets it back, but he won't be able to make that pass, or like a semi-pass, as Machac was kind of in no man's land. Would have had real issues getting to this ball if it went over the net, but to be honest, it wasn't very close. So far, it's just a few great serves from Machac in this game, and that's the kind of game that we have to be seeing a lot here today in order for him to produce the upset. Plenty of points like this will be required, unless it's like more of a drag and a slugfest and a slugfest on his own serve. Then he might be that's when he might be in trouble. But for now, he leads 2-1. Kind of picture perfect game for him. Ghosty is unsure who to root for. I will have to say that maybe it was Alcaraz Sinner when you said that a week ago. That basically whoever wins, tennis kind of wins, and that you kind of root for both guys. And I would say that this is kind of similar, right? We have a very exciting lineup, I have to say, in that Miami quarterfinal. I like it. I like that it's fresh. You still have someone like Marozsan, for example, right? You've got someone like Alcaraz and Sinner, of course, Medvedev, the dominators of the tour. But it's like nicely mixed up with Marozsan, with Machac. even with someone like Dimitrov, who is still, well, maybe not that much of a regular, although recently he is a regular at these stages of ATP 1000 events, especially since Shanghai. It's a very strong set of players, but at the same time you also have these few names like Machac, Marozsan, Jari, who really like do a great job in just making the field feel a lot fresher and a lot just more exciting for someone with my tennis preferences, let's say. I don't know if they will give us the most competitive matches. Zverev could be the toughest matchup for Marozsan just yet. Machac, Sinner, we'll see. I mean, so far, going okay, although after the first game, you kind of wouldn't have expected it. And Jari against Medvedev, I honestly I'm not sure what to think. I mean, Daniel seems very tough to beat in Miami, just like Sinner is. But of course, it's Nicolas Jari, and as I said, I mean, he has a great top 10 record. Never can really write him off with the sort of weaponry that he possesses. Dimitrov beat Alcaraz in Shanghai, right? So maybe the quarterfinal stage will actually turn out very exciting. Great volley here from Jannik, super smart, just going behind Machac. Can sort of lift it a little bit more, get the ball flying, because there's no way for the Czech to recover. Time and time again, we've been talking about this, but yeah, this is a part of Jannik's game that was nowhere to be found a few years ago. This is a part of his game that sort of similarly oriented players, like, I don't know, Andrei Rublev or Emil Rusuvori. I know these aren't like direct comparisons, but like, you know, similarly oriented, let's say, players in that they are power baseliners, and yeah, just they hit the ball clean off both wings, kinda. And well, Rublev maybe the less so on his backhand, but they just really hit it clean and aggressive on both wings and try to win by firing huge aggressive ground strokes. And these two guys have like never developed it, whereas Sinner, absolutely, he does not look clumsy at the net anymore, not at all. What a fantastic slap return from Machac here, though. 40-15, you know, still kind of. I mean, I like the idea of going for it in a moment like this. Can't really hurt you if you miss it, but maybe it will actually turn into something. Who knows? It was an absolute rocket for sure. Tries to go for pretty much the same. This time stretched to his forehand corner, though. I think this time it was like more necessary. You know, playing it any other way kind of probably would have given a sitter to Jannik. Doesn't make it over the net, though. So after 15 minutes, we are at 2 games all. They showed us some little girl eating her dress. Okay. Not the most nutritious, but whatever floats your boat, or your stomach in that case. Machac with a nice play here, but the execution on that last volley just fell apart a little bit. Nice job from Jannik, though, getting to his backhand corner very early, giving him that low dipping pass that, of course, every volleyer will be kind of afraid of. Just made sure that it's not going to be an easy put away for Tomas. Fantastic angle on that first serve here. I was actually reading some sort of analysis on Mahac's serve recently. I'm struggling to remember what it was about. I think probably it was about him being just a bit more predictable than most, in that he really loves that out wide serve on the outside and just keeps going for it, really. Basically, the more natural patterns for every single player. He kind of goes for them more than others. Wow, that's pretty insane. Jannik Sinner with this flick backhand pass. He was very close to the baseline. He defends a smash from Machac here. Machac thinking he's probably going to win the point with this forehand put away anyway, but Jannik runs into it and flicks it past him. Pretty sensational reactive shot. There's this guy who stood up after this shot and was like hardcore clapping for Jannik. I think he's an actor, but I can't remember what his name is now. What did he play at? Andy Samberg. Andy Samberg. I think it was him. Anyway, Machac with a pretty similar point here, but this time he plays the smash a little different, more angle rather than power, and Sinner can't get to it. Average forehand speed so far, by the way, Machac is at 80 miles per hour, and we were talking about this a little bit yesterday, I think, during the Arnaldi stream. No, was it? No, yesterday. Yesterday. That Machac actually has some technical limitations on his forehand, and like sometimes he can struggle to create depth pace, especially when it matters on the forehand. So that stat even fifth game in, it kind of tells you that today he is both feeling it, but also knows he has to go for it a little bit more than usual. And it is going to be easier for him on a court like this, on a court that's pretty fast and pretty slick. It's mostly going to be an issue when the ball just sits up for you. So like Indian Wells last week or 2 weeks ago by now, these were not perfect conditions for his game. Miami is pretty good. I would say still indoors is the best, but Miami is definitely fine. Cincinnati should be pretty good at. Canada as well, why not? A couple of points that, Machac at 30 all commits a double fault. There's a breakpoint for Jannik, but he misses a pretty makeable return. Yeah, that's not good enough though. Machac just dumps his +1 backhand into the net. He's had a few points like this already where he opens up the angle for him with the out wide serve for himself with the out wide serve on the deuce side and just dumps it into the middle of the net, or I don't know, just doesn't convert the situational advantage. So one more breakpoint for Sinner. Is it that ace again? Oh, so close. That ace that he hit there in the second point of this game, maybe. He was very close to getting it exactly right again. But it's going to be a second serve, and let's see if he can win just trading backhands and forehands off, with Jannik off the ground. Oh, this time he actually can. That last ball was a little higher. Sinner, I guess he just doesn't make the positional adjustment. His forehand kind of breaks down here, and it's in the middle of the net, so 2 breakpoints saved already. And Machac eventually with a game point goes for the forehand cross, scrambling around the court a little bit. Jannik can't quite put him away yet. And Machac gets the chance to pounce on a shorter ball, forehand cross. But it's kind of what we were talking about. Just a second ago, I was mentioning that forehand, and like, it's not that it can't go huge, but definitely the control over it tends to be a bit wonky. And this is probably an example of a shot that most players would be able to make. But it's not always this obvious for Tomas, let's say that. But he will have one more chance. And we'll get it done as well. Jannik eventually missed hitting a backhand. So Tomas Machac 3-2. Tough game. Definitely a couple of breakpoints, of course, but yeah, just overall, it was another test for the Czech. And so far, he's passing them. I don't know if to say with flying colors, but he's definitely passing them at a grade that's acceptable and keeps him in the set. And after all, that's kind of what he's intending to do right now. Nurlan is there in the chat. There was a lot of talk in the chat that I missed. Yeah, Ghosty, you're incredibly wise. Maybe you said a part of it and I added that little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I think you said that. Ghosty referencing Breaking Bad there in the chat. Have I seen Streaker play recently? Where is he? He is injured. He has been injured for a long while now. He played for the last time at the Next Gen Finals. So it's going to be about 3 months by now. Well, 4 practically, yeah. So I think by now he might actually wait for a protected ranking. But of course, it is pretty brutal. It is pretty brutal because, well, that was like his moment, right? He broke the top 100. He finally had a chance to be on the main tour more consistently, which obviously he has the potential to do. And obviously, he can also like win matches on a regular basis on the main tour. He can win matches against the highest quality opponents. We've seen that already. But yeah, just when he had the chance to show this, sort of maybe being in a similar position, let's say, to Machac going into this year, he just unfortunately gets injured. Goofy of Alexandrova it would be if she loses to Pegula. I don't know. I would like her to win. I think she's a bit of a sleeper for a lot of people. Like, I think she is an overlooked competitor a lot of the time. She's a fantastic ball striker, so I would like her to have a big run somewhere. I don't think it's happened to her at a slam. Obviously, there's a bit of a consistency question with Alexandrova a lot of the time. Like, can she play a few good matches in a row when she's going after the ball like this? And generally, over the course of her career, in the biggest events at least, the answer is she probably can't. One fourth round, I think, at a slam, which compared to her other achievements is definitely somewhat lacking, I would say. But when it comes to the ATP thousands, I actually am not sure if she has a semi somewhere. Well, she has one semi in Rome. Oh yeah, of course, Rome, 2022. Yeah, sure. But still, I mean, that's literally her third quarterfinal only. So we are talking about a massive achievement for her if she beats. What does slick mean vis-a-vis tennis courts? I mean, literally, that's the ball when on impact. The ball does not like sit up into the air, but it's just kind of slippery. No. It's, slippery. I don't know. Slippery is of course not exactly the right word, but like, yeah, the bounce is very like, still carries a lot of forward momentum, and it's probably quite low in most cases, right? It's not Indian Wells. Like, imagine the opposite of Indian Wells. Basically, the ball does not sit up sort of for you. It doesn't go up that much when it impacts, when it hits the court. but it like still goes really forward and bounces pretty low. That's kind of how you could describe slick conditions. And for Machac, that is the best because he kind of wants to take the ball early, like anytime anyway. So it really allows that natural timing that he has to shine through. And yeah. Some players play with ankle braces on both ankles. I mean, you've got Andy Murray, for example, right? It could be preventive. Or has Alize Cornet been? Anybody knows? Hasn't she played something recently? I mean, she's definitely played this year, right? But I think she is retiring after this year. Yeah, I mean, Alize Cornet is playing like regularly. She played both Indian Wells and Miami, just lost in the qualifying round one for both. She also played this week, lost in San Luis Potosi, the Challenger 125 via retirement. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that Alize is retiring after this year, so. Sean says that Djokovic was upset with Darren Cahill getting Coach of the Year. I disagree with him. Like, wow. I mean, I can't explain how much I disagree with that call of Novak and Goran, because Coach of the Year isn't just, literally Coach of the Year isn't just who has the most achievements. Like, it's who has had the most impact, which is why I was also hardcore rooting for Facundo Lugones to win it when he got it with Nori, right? Like Goran Ivanisevic, sure, when he started working with Novak, he had a lot of impact on his results with the serve, especially. But like these days, he was probably kind of more of someone that Novak would bounce ideas off. And I think Darren Cahill and Simone Vanozzi have had a much, much more sort of meaningful impact on Jannik's game in 2023. And it's actually kind of rare for us to see the impact of coaches that heavily. Like the way that Jannik developed his transition game over that year, the way that he started introducing more variety, the way that he started serving as well over the course of the season. Like it was like textbook Coach of the Year material to me. I think Goran would have been a mistake. Ghosty, didn't you watch me and John talking about Djokovic and Goran earlier? I thought you did. John talking to us from the running machine. Way to flex that you're going to the gym. I went for a run today, and am I bragging about it? I actually just did. Huh. Well, what can you do? 30-15 for Jannik now on the Machac serve. Just getting a quality return in. Machac not quite able to neutralize it. 15-30. Kind of working towards that break again. I mean, in the previous game, of course, it was tough. 2 break points saved by Machac. Let's see if this one is similar or not. Yeah, the first ball forehand, like, just doesn't generate that sort of advantage, which is fine, I mean, that's just not part of his game. But I think to kind of start winning matches against these guys very consistently, he might have to. Phenomenal point, though. All in all, okay, so he didn't take what the serve offered to him, but the hitting after that, always sort of inside the court. Maybe not that much, but like both feet inside the court planted on most of these shots. Fires the backhand cross-court winner. Ridiculous stuff, really. 30-all. And compared to their 52-week averages of being in attack, which I'm just seeing right now from Tennis Insights on my screen, they're both at 26% usually, but Sinner today just at 18 and Machac at 30. So that really tells you that after the first game, Machac did change his mindset and is going for it now. What a funky point as well. Machac loses his balance, kind of almost falls on the ground here, but he still manages to play the winning I mean, drop shot, kinda a drop shot. Jannik does not get to the ball before a double bounce, so I guess we can call it a drop shot, but it was a fun one. Yeah, Nurlan. Yeah, never change, never change. No, I don't think that Iga should stop watching Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, or TV shows and start listening to things that will add value to her personality. I mean, she reads books, for example. Besides listening to music like this, which, you know, at least in terms of Katy Perry, is not too ambitious. I don't think is necessarily the worst that can happen to you as a person. I mean, you know, you guys are a professional tennis player. Of course, self-development in more ways than just tennis is very important, but I don't think, you know, her interests are the most meaningless in the world. No, no. I think she's definitely doing just fine in terms of, like, yeah, working on her development as a person as well, not only as a player. We don't really have any indication that these things would also, like, you know, take much time from her, away from her, or something like that. No, so I would say stick to doing what you like. "103 miles per hour" on that Sinner forehand winner, and that's another break point. So second game in a row, 3 out of 4 Machac games already. We've had that situation. Again, just misses that out wide serve on the outside. So it's gonna have to be on the second. Sinner lining up for a backhand return. Very nice from Machac again, though. This is kind of exactly how he wanted Sinner to play that ball. Like, just not deep enough, not sharp, not aggressive enough, not to allow Machac to fire that backhand down the line trademark. However, still enough pace to, like, allow him to use that to his advantage. 5.5 minutes already in this game. We are again at deuce, as Tomas Machac is kind of fighting for his life, but, you know, he's not playing poorly. Like, he's not on the verge of losing every time we see him, you know. And Jannik gets surprised with that second serve return direction here. He was expecting Machac to go down the tee, or, like, probably just roll it in any way, any shape or form. But Machac doesn't choose that. Machac plays the sliced serve to Jannik's forehand, and the Italian is clearly slow to react to it because he, you know, guessed the other way. And it's advantage Machac now. Not doing that much on the first ball forehand again, but let's see. Yeah, this time it leads to his demise eventually. Just hits that cross-court backhand in the end. So we are back at deuce as we have another Mamov game that could be very important for how this set goes. Machac is trying to get a wasp or a bee off the court. Don't worry, it's not going to be a Lance Davis type of situation. It's just one dead body. No, actually not dead body, because right now they're giving us a close-up on that insect. And that insect is still alive, absolutely. It actually had its sort of 5 minutes, right? Because it was shown on national, international TV. But yeah, so Machac, a nice guy, he did not kill it. Although I am kind of worried about the well-being of that bee, because if Machac just keeps moving around around the baseline, he might actually step on it at some point. However, I think Tomas is, he likes to play inside the court, right? So when he just pushed it a little back towards the fence, maybe that bee will survive. It might not survive though when they swap, when Jannik is there, and he's kind of been playing a little more on the back foot than Machac here. despite also not being, of course, someone who likes that position necessarily. One more breakpoint for Jannik, though, after all the B talk. And how about now? Is it a miss as well? Yeah, Machac missing 2 shots back to back, which were like so close to the lines. But again, it's it's the fact that his first ball forehand is not doing any damage. That's like the main issue for him here. He hits a decent serve and then just isn't really able to follow it up and just gets into that rally with Sinner neutral of the ground where usually he's going to be losing. So it's a break for Sinner again for free. Let's see if this time he can consolidate. And someone on my Twitter feed said that Machac crippled a B. So apparently they didn't think that it was this, like, they didn't think that he was this ecological and this nice to the B. Swarming, is that a pun with the bees, I suppose? Wife giving her man a back massage. Some philosophy coming in here about why is self-development important. I don't know. I mean, I think we should all sort of try to drift towards like a bigger purpose and try to further, like, if not widen our range of interests, maybe at least strengthen these that we have already made, and grow as people. I mean, we're not getting younger, we're like getting older, but like with every day you also see more, you hear more, you read more, you basically get more experience, and you should be able to use it in some way instead of staying in one place. And I would say for a tennis player, self-development is still quite important, because even though sometimes we might think of tennis players as like these lifeless vessels who like kind of just play tennis and that's it, that's their whole personality, they are also people, and especially after their tennis careers, they will need to be doing something. I mean, some will stay in tennis, of course, some will be coaching, some will be commentating on it, but it's never going to be like the 95% of their lives anymore. Sinner has had a good draw this tournament. What do you think about it? But I guess so. I mean, you've got Machac, you've got Higspor, pretty dangerous players, but I guess no one of that caliber where you expect Sinner to lose. Vavasori round 2 was pretty easy too. O'Connell, of course, yeah, that was nice. It could have been like Tiafoe, Paul maybe would have been tougher only, but Dan O'Connell really in that section. And instead of Machac, it could have been Rublev, but yeah, I mean, he's been dominating Rublev, could have been Tsitsipas. Yeah, it's been a very good draw for Jannik. I would agree with that. Medvedev in the semis isn't ideal. Like that's the only part where it kind of falls apart. The fact that he has to play Daniil and that Daniil wasn't in the Alcaraz half. Like that's kind of the only part when Sinner is maybe a little less, well, not lucky, but like a little less fortunate with the draw. But of course, it doesn't matter a great deal, because at the moment it seems like he can practically beat anyone anyway. So like Sinner draws for me right now probably matter less than for most players, because it's hard to imagine him losing for the most part. I mean, the guy since Shanghai, I guess, when he lost to Shelton. Since Shanghai, he's only lost to Djokovic and Alcaraz, right? So that already kind of tells you something. But maybe Tomas Machac will be pushing for that rebreak again right away. Gets a nice return in to get to 30 all. So vital point coming up for both players. on these vital points so far today, Sinner has not been like bringing out the best serves so far, which has been one of the main aspects of his game recently, that like it really gets him out of trouble as well, if there's ever any trouble really. But he also hasn't had these many opportunities, I guess, yet to sort of be saved by it. Here he just stays in the rally long enough for Machac to commit an error. It's kind of like what Arnaldi was doing. I mean, rather what Machac was doing to Arnaldi 2 days ago, or yesterday, sorry. It's kind of how Sinner is playing this one today. But of course, that's also a question of the gap between the players quality-wise. Like here, it's Machac who's gonna have to risk in order to win. Whereas yesterday, it wasn't that clear. Like Machac and Arnaldi, they're kind of similar as both strikers, as players. So it was a choice from Arnaldi, let's say, to be more aggressive, to be the one playing front foot tennis. And, kind of he just sprayed a lot too many errors with that. But today, it's not a choice. Like today, it's a necessity for Machac to be a little more out there than he was yesterday. Like that's just what he needs to do in order to win. So it's a different scenario, I guess. But the roles are kind of swapped than yesterday, than the last Machac match against an Italian. Game point Sinner now. Good serve in. First ball forehand just forces an error, and that's kind of another example of the difference of the quality on these shots. The way they play their +1 on the forehand side, whereas Machac would probably still be in the rally here and just sort of have to roll it in a bit and then try to see what's going to shake up in that exchange. Sinner just finishes off the point right away. Almost an ace here, but it's actually wide. Has a chance to go 5-3 on the second serve. Machac will be attacking it. It is kind of tame-ish, but, he is still in the rally. He's still probably in control over it. Tries to unleash down the line, but misses it. So 5-3 Sinner now. First time in the set that a break lead is consolidated. Ghosty had a question here. Let's put it on the screen. After retirement, some ran away from the sport, while others parlay their experience into media or coaching or whatever. Can you tell who? Do you mean like, can you tell who of the current bunch would stay in tennis and who wouldn't? I mean, there are definitely some players who like kind of don't seem to enjoy the sport that much. And that's why you would probably think that, they might not be around. But at the same time, they might just like the family life and stuff. Like, I don't know, Federer was probably one of these players where, like, you would expect him to stay within tennis in some capacity. But he's kind of not going to, right? I mean, he said that he probably wouldn't try coaching, like, just the traveling again on a full-time basis. So I think it can be a bit misleading. Like someone that I was a little maybe wrong about the last couple of years, guys like Per, Fonini, Basilashvili, all of these guys who kind of didn't seem to be enjoying their time on the court, but then just never really, once their ranking dropped, they still show a lot of inspiration and they still show a lot of dedication to even play the lower tier events and try to return, maybe I would say that someone who really gives me the vibe that he will not be staying in tennis is Diego Schwartzman right now. Like the guy just seems like, yeah, he might not be able to even, give himself that sort of enough intent if he doesn't start winning a lot of matches soon to even keep going after Roland Garros or something like that. Like, I don't know. And I don't know, just doesn't seem like he would want to be a part of the community anymore. Like, at least in a more extended sense. Fantastic half volley here from Machac, by the way. That was probably a point where like Machac Sinner would have expected to be 3-5 down. 3-5 down, 15-30 down. But he actually manages to just get the racket. It bounces off it. The ball bounces off it in a way that definitely contained a degree of magic in it. And he's at the net again. Jannik will not be able to produce the pass, so it's all looking likely for Machac to get that game again. Yeah, I mean it's both hard to switch away from and easy to switch away from, because at one thing is that you have to like basically spend all your year traveling, right? And you're never really at home. So especially if you have family, if you have a family, you kind of want to spend time with them, right? I mean, but if you don't, and especially even you're just so used to it at the same time, you don't really know what to do and what to do sort of with your time, even because tennis has consumed your life for the past 20 years. But I guess that's not even tennis specific. A lot of sports work like that, besides the ones where you don't need to travel like that, then it's different. And I guess this is just a game of sensational Tomas Machac touch shots, because he also gets that volley. This is actually pretty similar to the one from like the fourth game or something like that, where he had that low dipping pass from Jannik and he didn't manage to put it in. This time he does. So 5-4, and Sinner will serve for the set after the break. Yeah, Borg was. I mean, I think people actually forget about that's come out of retirement thing that he did. But yeah, we're witnessing a lot of players right now who just kind of can't stay away from the courts, right? Martin Klijan, 2.5 years of retirement, and then he is there. And then he's there again, suddenly, grinding through ITF events. Yeah, it's easy to say goodbye. It's not that easy to say goodbye. I mean, Del Potro has been hinting at a potential return. I think with every single month, even with every single year, it's getting less and less likely. But can Kevin Anderson announce his retirement and return, for example, right? He might come back, yeah. And I agree, Ghosty. Yeah, I think I said like that there was a bit of an asterisk with Federer, that like, yeah, he is still around. Like, he shows up at events, he has all these projects. Yes, absolutely. And there was something from Sean earlier as well. I remember the unpredictable days of Sinner. I definitely prefer this version. So this version or the unpredictable one? Because I can understand the argument for both. Like, the unpredictability was maybe fun, maybe entertaining, but of course it wasn't as effective. And the Sinner that we have right now is a machine. He's a machine also of playing percentage tennis, which is something that was not in his game back then either. Maybe this is also another argument for that Sinner, for that Cahill Vanozzi Coach of the Year award. Although that change might have happened. No, it actually happened last year as well. But yeah, that's the let's say that's the element of his game that we've been talking about, as in he's like not really redlining to get all of these titles, right? He plays in a way that's very sustainable, in a way that's very efficient while not being too flashy. Whereas getting onto the tour, he was kind of more of a like violent acceleration type of guy, right? I mean, he was just basically his ability of just suddenly adding so much pace to the ball while still being like physically a little, I don't know, like lightweight. That was probably what caused us to like Sinner's game in 2019-18. But after that, he definitely has sort of changed himself into this winning machine that he is right now. And yeah, just a guy who plays with a lot more margin and maybe doesn't always give you that insane random acceleration, but he's more about the sustained hitting and basically the quality that he can produce on every single shot. So I guess there's a lot to like about both versions of Sinner's game. Obviously, one is much more effective, efficient than the other. The one that was sort of coming up onto the tour would not be allowing him to get results with this sort of consistency. Like even here, he's dictating the point, but he's not really like going for the lines. He's not really going after his shots all that much. He's just kind of relying on the fact that his shot quality, average wise, is like stronger than everyone on the tour right now. forehand, backhand, serve, return. And it's a smart call. 3 set points for him in the meantime, and doesn't find that ace either. I feel like both players have like already made it like in exactly that part of the court. Like they already hit that exact spot on the court a few times with their serves, and it's like just close to the line on that outside out wide serve. But anyway, it's a set anyway. A kind of a nothing game for Machac, where he, well, basically missed a few shots, was also dominated in one point, and just sort of forced to run around. Not a great attempt to break when your opponent was serving for it, let's say that. So it's 6-4 Sinner. Kind of the expected result so far, kind of the expected way it's been progressing to. He's definitely been the better player. He's definitely been the one getting more action on the Machac serve. And I guess there's no real reason to think that it won't continue. We'll see. Stats, Machac 9 winners, 18 unforced errors. But as I said earlier, that's very justified because he needs to go for it a bit more. So there's going to be more errors. It's just, it's what it is. I mean, he has to play like this against Sinner. Quite a lot of unreturned serves for both, but Sinner definitely the higher stat there. That's no surprise, 30%. Both not winning that much though on their first serves, I would say 60 and 68%. And when it comes to the average speeds, Machac is still leading Sinner, which again just really tells you that he is going for his shots a bit more, but he needs to. Just 2% of just 2% slices for Machac. I wonder if that maybe could be a bit of a way for him to avoid getting straight setted here. Try to throw in the slice to Jannik's backhand and set up. Well, usually the players set up the inside out forehand with it. For Machac, well, maybe for Machac, it's not that big a play simply because setting up the inside in or the inside out forehand for him is not that amazing. And if he was trying to like get a backhand out of it, then he's going to be hitting off a Sinner slice potentially. So probably of not that fast of a ball. And we know that Machac loves that redirection down the line, and like he needs that pace on the ball coming in. So yeah, maybe it's actually not that much of a play for Machac now that I think of it. Maybe, the way he's been playing it so far is actually, precisely right. Delpo is in Miami now. It certainly feels like he's missing the big show, doesn't it? I mean, he announced last year that he was going to try for the US Open or whatever, then he wasn't ready. And we haven't really heard anything since. So that's why I'm saying that, like, with every month, we kind of just get into that territory where it's less and less likely rather than, when is he going to come back? Is it going to be in a second? But yeah, that's another guy who kind of couldn't stay away. Pickleball money? Michael Chang is playing pickleball? I didn't know that. I mean, Michael Chang, of course, later on, he also coached Nishikori for many years after his career. So that's probably what people sort of more, well, let's say people from my age, of my age, kind of remember him more as that, right? I've never seen Michael Chang play a live match. I've seen obviously highlights. I've seen maybe even a full match from his 1989 French Open run, but probably as Kei Nishikori has been also, of course, his protege for many years, so he has kind of stayed in tennis for sure. I didn't know that pickleball thing though. It was just an exhibition. Okay, that's pretty. Well, I wanted to say that that's fun, but it's still not fun. It's still pickleball. I would watch an exhibition with Michael Chang. It's still pickleball though. I would watch an exhibition of tennis. I wanted to say with Michael Chang. If it's pickleball, I will still skip on it. And if Michael Chang throws in an underarm serve, can you imagine the crowd going wild? And all the people who remember the 1989 French Open, so probably 90% in the crowd, I guess, because Patrick Muratoglu says that the average age of a tennis watching human is like 120 or whatever. And also Ghosty said that he thought we would see more unforced errors on Mahac's backhand, but it's actually pretty even with the forehand. So I guess you thought that, based on watching the match, I suppose. Yeah, pre-match, I would say that probably the forehand is more likely, but like during the actual game, you probably would expect that the backhand would be pretty close because he's been trying to go for it, and like most of the time he's not landing the down the line shots. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure he's also, even Machac is hitting more forehands than backhands, I think. So these stats can be a little skewed in that sense too. If anything, it's the forehand that's been a little troublesome for him, and not in the sense that he's missing so many of them, but like, just the fact that he can't get enough penetration on that first shot after the serve. Oh, I mean, that's a brave play. Second breakpoint here. Machac serve and volleys and gives Sinner the lob, but Jannik can't take it. But that was like, Sinner had a lot of time here. That was a potentially even a match losing mistake if Jannik ends up getting that lob in. Now Machac has saved 2 breakpoints, so it might end up looking very good for him in the long run. After all, he did take time away. Any other top players who have retired mid-career like Borg and Sparty? Definitely. I wonder if I'm going to be able to find like examples. I mean, Hingis retired for a few years when she was like 20-something. There's definitely more on the women's. Anna Kurnikova, for example, right? She retired super early. There's been a fair few on the women's side for sure in like the 2000s. I wonder if on the men's... I mean, back in the day, Sampras and Roddick, right now, they would be considered mid-career, but I guess we're not going to talk about them because, well, that used to be a more normal retirement age. I'm thinking of like the best players on the men's side ever. I think Courier retired like relatively early, but again, that might be like 30 years of age because back in the day, that's how it used to be. But I don't know, like when I'm thinking of most of these, he retired at 30. So yeah, again, that's not that late. Most of these high quality men's players that you think of, right? I mean, they mostly played until like being 30 or thereabouts. On the women's, there's definitely a lot of examples. Yeah, Hingis, I mean, she also had a second win. I mean, I don't know if a second win, but she returned to singles for a while. Then she retired again, and then she came back as, pretty much the best doubles player in the world for a few years. Best mixed doubles player in the world probably as well, with Leander Pace when she played with him. So, obviously she did come back, but she at first she retired for a few years when she was like 20 something. So she's definitely an example there, even if she came back in the end. And Borg came back in the end too. Like Borg came back when he was like 35. I don't think he won a match. And that was it. Guess Marat Safin was probably like 28, 29. Again, I don't know if we can count it as a mid-career retirement, but it was definitely quite early, even for the 2008, 2009 standards. By now, of course, the retirement age for a tennis player is probably average 40. So not 40, but like 35 at least. So now it would be considered very early. Then again, of course, you were right to point out that top players has to be the asterisk there, because of course at the lower levels people do retire early quite a lot. Anyway, 1-game all in the second set. Sinner passes Machac here, stretches to that forehand corner and manages to pull out a very good shot. Is that serve really in? Okay. I mean, Jannik is surprised, but I suppose it must have been in. I mean, we're not going to be arguing with the electronic line calling. We're not Jelena Ostapenko. Although sometimes you have to agree with it. I mean, of course, there are sort of obvious mistakes of the system, and then usually you gotta correct it as an umpire. Recently, there was a case in Miami here. Was it Kirstea against someone? Oh my goodness, what a point from Machac here. I love that last one, the more compact swing with which he wrong foot Sinner. Sort of just keeps peppering the backhand cross court. Sinner keeps thinking that, okay, maybe this is the ball he goes down the line on. But he never did. And that last shot, I mean, come on. It's like a half volley almost with the way that he's standing so much inside the court. It's great stuff. Even if he goes down here, even if he goes down in straights, you can like that performance of Machac, I think. You can definitely sort of understand that he knows what the opponent can bring on the other side of the net, knows that he has to be a little more offensive than usual. And he's trying, he's doing his best. Serve and volley here, but that's gonna be eaten up by Sinner here. So tomorrow is both the women's semis. Tomorrow is women's semis, and I guess, right? Yeah, tomorrow is women's semis and the 2 remaining men's quarterfinals. Sometimes I get lost in this because, as I said on a few occasions this week already, like the fact that they're not doing it the same as Indian Wells is very confusing, and the fact that basically the men and the women's are the men and the women are like at a different stage of their respective events. It's very confusing, but yeah, tomorrow is going to start with Zverev Maroshan at 1 p.m. local time, so just like Garcia Collins today. Then we're going to have Rybakina Azarenka, and in the night session, it's going to be Alcaraz Dimitrov and Alexandrova or Pegula against Collins. Ah, yeah, because they haven't played yet. Yeah, what am I? Never mind. What am I talking about? So one of Alexandrova Pegula will get significantly less rest than Daniel did today. I don't know if it's gonna matter. I mean, depends on the match. If they play for like 3.5 hours, maybe. But yeah, basically tomorrow it starts with Zverev Marozsan, and then you have Alcaraz Dimitrov in the evening session when it comes to the men's quarterfinals. I actually am not sure how much watching I will get to do tomorrow. I guess I will sort of have to figure it out on the spot. Would love to see Zverev Marozsan, but that's the worst time for me actually tomorrow, so I might have to skip it. Today I will also not be following the night session, probably. I have to go to, or the evening session. I have to go to bed quite early, but definitely fine for this one. And I guess Machac Sinner is the match that interests me the most today anyway. And it's going to be another game for... No, what? Oh, this time the line calling is... Once again, I don't agree with it, but, I'm not going to push it. Like, it's probably me who's wrong. But I thought this was going to be a game for Machac already, but apparently it's going to be a close call going Jannik's favor. Yeah, can we see it? We can. Okay, so apparently it clipped the line. So it's back to deuce. Machac thought he had it too, and he was literally standing on the ball as well. But I'm not gonna seek conspiracy theories here. I believe the system more than my very eyes and also Mahac's very eyes, if that makes sense. And it's going to be another breakpoint now for Machac. So it's pretty brutal because he thought he was already done with it. He thought he was already gonna go to the bench basically get a look at the Sinner serve next time, kind of without pressure. But for now, he has to save one more breakpoint. Yeah, and this is the problem. I mean, he gets a shorter ball and he tries to go for something. This time he tries to go for something on the +1 forehand, but he just overcooks it. I mean, there's no feeling of control over that. And I said it, in the first set as well, that like when he tries to go after that forehand a bit more, there's just a lot less control for him than for other players. This is interesting, by the way, that Sinner is asking at the changeovers for this fan to be delivered to him, and he basically uses it to dry out his racket handle. I would assume that that's what he's using it for. Maybe he's just gonna try to cool that racket handle down. I don't know. So Ghosty, instead of Poland-Wales, you watched Hubi against Grigor. That was also a Polish element to it, so that's fine. And also Poland-Wales was incredibly dire. Like, as a neutral observer, I would be turning off that match after 20 minutes. We didn't get an attempt on goal for the entire match. We got quite a lot of attempts that missed or were blocked, but no on goal. And yeah, it was rough. It was definitely rough, but we managed to win the penalties. So given that I was watching it with, some friends and stuff, I was definitely quite, into it as well. Even though generally I don't care, but yeah, it's just gonna, we're gonna be at the Euros. We're gonna have a lot more stuff to talk about, and basically more matches to watch, maybe with some people, and more programs, podcasts that you can listen to, more coverage. So it's basically ensuring that in June, July, there will be a lot more to enjoy as a Polish, let's say, football. I'm not a football fan, but a national team fan at least. So yeah, I'm glad that we got over that hurdle and made it. We should have made it, before the playoffs. We had a very easy group, but well, that's a topic for another day. Again, the difference in the quality of their +1 forehands very well exemplified here by Jannik. I don't know if it counts for something. Are you trying to sort of win some sort of attention from me with that you were rooting for Hurkacz? As you probably can imagine, I mean, I kind of didn't care who won. But it's pretty brutal for Hurkacz to be 0-5 in that rivalry with Dimitrov now, where 3 of the matches have ended in deciding set tiebreaks. One of them was a 7-6, 7-6 win for Grigor as well, and also there was that one match really that was, an exception. So it is kind of brutal for him to be 0-5 down in a matchup where everything is about the tiebreaks so far. But well, what can you do? I mean, Rud and Hurkacz are out. When it comes to Estoril people in the event. Well, not in singles, obviously, but is there anyone in the doubles, I'm thinking? Probably not, right? I mean, the doubles is very... Well, after Shelton went out, but Shelton isn't even in Estoril anyway. But the doubles is very classic doubles specialists, I think, by now. So no, I would probably have to say no. No Estoril players. I guess Hurkacz and Rud were the only people who could have withdrew if they went too far. I mean, Davidovich Fokina lost early. Musetti was also pretty far, I suppose. Monfils went to the third round. But yeah. Let's see if Dominic Thiem actually shows up, because apparently today he announced that he had a wrist inflammation and that's why he pulled out of Naples, not because he was not happy about his level in Sekeshuhervar and Zadar, although I'm pretty sure he was not happy about his level. He was playing like comically poor at some points, especially against Neumeier. And yeah, I mean, he says that he could be ready, should be ready for Estoril, but we'll see. It's not a given. It's not a Shea given. I'm making a lot of football references today. I guess it's probably because of that match yesterday. Yeah. Will it be another tough game on the Machac serve as he now misses this backhand? It's possible. 27 unforced errors for Machac to just 12 winners. 12 winners is also what Sinner has, while having 10 unforced errors. I mean, yeah, there's a big difference in like how aggressively they're playing, but it's still just too much for him. So it's actually very true that this is a similar match to Machac Arnaldi yesterday. It's just that the roles are swapped. And it's going to be a breakpoint, so I think it's the third straight game that Machac has to save something in. Trading blows here, cross court at deuce. Machac, of course, the bit more lively, bit more, I don't know, just eager to end the point as early as possible. And that doesn't end up working out for him as he misses that backhand cross court taken so early off the bounce. Hey, and it's another break point, so Sinner is very close to a set and a double break lead. I know the first few games were very even for sure, but since then, like Machac is kind of struggling in all his service games. And of course, that's something we indicated at the beginning too, that it might happen, and it probably won't lead to a Machac win or to Machac keeping it that competitive. But let's see. Couple of huge forehands from the guys here. I mean, they really enjoyed the pace that they were throwing at one another. And the rally is still going, but it's going to be Sinner with this backhand here. Inside in. Oh my goodness. I said out, sorry. Basically, Machac upped the pace even some more. Sinner decided to just go along with it, keep blasting the shots, just go harder and harder with every single one. And they just kept going like this. Like the guys just kept going like this for 10 shots. And eventually it's Sinner who finds the winning play. So it's 6-4, 4-1 Sinner as he is now in a very comfortable position and kind of cruising towards the victory. All right. 6-4, 4-1, Jannik Sinner. Let's see, was there anything else in the chat? Do I think Shelton bailed on the story? No, because as it turned out, I only bought my tickets a few days ago, so Shelton didn't know that I was coming. Probably Shelton would have to avoid the Challenger Tour for the most part to avoid meeting me. So maybe he's doing that. How close is Sinner to being in that zone of inevitability that the top guys occasionally find themselves in? I mean, he's already there, isn't he? Isn't he already there? I mean, the way that he's been playing since Shanghai, as I said, just losing to Alcaraz and Djokovic, he's been there. Yeah, Saturday is the first day, so we will miss it, John. Yes. And Ben didn't have a winning record in clay. Besides, Ben Shelton gave me an interview in Cagliari, and he was nice to me. I don't think he knows who I am. I think if I met him at a supermarket, at a Danish supermarket, for example, what was it? The Rema 1000? Way better than a Rema 900. Amazing pun, John. But yeah, if I met him at a Danish supermarket, I don't think he would recognize me. So that counts as not knowing of me, at least. And I don't think we have a beef. We might have a pork, though. And I was just laughing at your horrible puns, and I came up with that. Are there qualifiers on Sunday? Yes, the final round. So yeah, 30-15, Jannik trying to get to that 5-1 lead, which would feel really decisive, but let's see. I guess I was wrong to click the restart or like whatever. Basically, just restart my stream, and in order to get it like more actual, because it's now broken. But okay, we're back. And we're back to a great Sinner point where he eventually manages to get the positional advantage over Machac, slaps the forehand winner. Great backhand down the line here, and he sets up for a forehand down the line and then the killer combo. Really, the last three shots are like textbook. And he gets that chance to go 5-1 up. Points won over 9 shots in this match. We see on the screen 9-5 for Sinner. That's not a huge advantage. Like they're showing that to us because under 5 shots they are 50% and 50%, and Jannik is winning 65% on the over 9 shots category. But of course, it's just 14 points. It doesn't actually have any big influence over the match. So I think showing that stat is a little misleading in a way too. But anyway, 6-4, 5-1. New balls, please. So Machac will at least get that chance to serve with the new balls. I think it was maybe Świątek who I was listening to recently when she said that these balls, after a few games, they tend to get like really worn out, and that despite she having a lot of power, she was struggling to hit through the courts sometimes. So maybe it's a bigger advantage than on other courts that Machac will serve with them right now. But it is 1-5, so you kind of have to ask whether that is not futile anyway. But he will kind of decide it, right? We'll see how much he still has in him at this stage of the match. Ooh, almost another fantastic pass from Sinner. He couldn't really top that one where he flicked it past Machac, but it could have been, almost as good, but it's just out. So 15 all now. Great serve out wide from Machac, perhaps one of his first aces. I'm actually not sure how many he's had, but definitely is one of the best serves he's had in the entire match. Perhaps these new balls also helping him indeed. That second serve will just sit up for Sinner to attack it here, and that results in Jannik getting that point and going 2 away from the match at the moment. Martina Navratilova in the crowd. I wonder if she's enjoying the Tomas Machac short shorts and his quads being so visible. Probably not, given her preferences. What the hell am I talking about? I just realized that middle of the sentence that, well, she might not be the biggest target for Machac. Machac, of course, already has a relationship with Katerina Siniakova, so he will not be on the lookout either. Sometimes your mind goes places and then you kind of have to roll with it, right? And that's what I did here. Tomas Machac at the net. He's going to get the point. One more game point for him to at least force Jannik to serve it out. One more net approach. Sinner won't be able to get good enough. Just a clean hit on the pass, let's say. So it is 6-4-5-2, and Tomas Machac has sort of put it at Jannik. Tomas Machac has given the ball to Jannik. The ball is in Sinner's court, and he will be serving to get to the Miami semifinals for the third time. 2021 final, 2022 quarterfinal, 2023 final. So the record of Sinner at this venue is quite excellent. Excellent. I was just cooking a lot of eggs, and now there are also egg puns that are coming to me. Is there anything worse than even giggling at his own puns? Maybe a happy couple? That's it. No. My puns are the best. That's why I always laugh at mine, but yours are cringy. What's the name of the pigeon playing and a Bacchus in your room? Wow. I don't even know what to tell you, Ghosty. John getting in the shower. That's an update we really needed, but apparently he's here already. He will join the moment the last ball drops. I saw Jake was recently on Twitter saying that he can't wait for another last ball drops. So I guess he's gonna have to wait for Roland Garros, but we kinda will have it here with me and John. post-match. River is back, feeling good today, won a big title in Ireland. Really looking forward to my next one as a number 1 seed. What is it that you're playing? Is it tennis? Have you played Michael Agvi? I have to ask. Yeah, Sinner 3 points away from the match, this time on his serve though, so it should be a little easier. What an angle here he finds on this counter, and wow, very nice shot as well here. The ball being like pretty low and uncomfortable enough. Yeah, tennis, okay. No, I mean, tennis was the most likely answer, but I was just thinking about it. But congrats on the title. Is this match point already? Is my scoreboard broken? Because this should be, given where they're standing right now, this should be like the 4th point by now. I guess the scoreboard has broken indeed in the last game. Not the most pleasant moment for it to break. I guess it wasn't match point then. But maybe it is. I don't know. Is it now? I don't know. Sinner just fired a huge forehand winner. I have no clue what the score is because my scoreboard is broken. But given that he was serving on that side, it should be fairly love. But they're showing me 40. No, I guess it's fair. I guess it's 30. Okay. So is my stream now suddenly behind the point? Well, anyway, we'll figure things out. As Sinner approaches the net, Machac tries to lob him, and the lob is out. So I guess now we will have a triple match point for Jannik Sinner. Yes, indeed. Does this match have a few more points left in it? For now, it seems like it. I like that hooked forehand from Machac. This isn't really a shot that he goes for much. Like, this isn't really the way he plays it most of the time. But he manages to get it pretty deep to Sinner here. Jannik missing into the net. Both the boxes of the players, they don't really seem to invest it at this stage. I mean, everyone is kind of knows what's going to happen, but, the question is when. And is it going to be now? Sinner, huge serve. Machac will not be able to get it over the net. So it is 6-4, 6-2, Jannik Sinner as he makes the semifinals. And now, well, the ball was in his court here, as I said, after Machac won the previous game. But now the ball is in Daniil Medvedev's court. And we will see if he will be able to beat Nicolas Jarry and secure that semifinal with Sinner, which would be their second match in Miami, after last year's final. So, hello, Joe.
Hello, 1, 2, 3.
4, 5, 6.
Oh, hang on a second. Hang on.
I will.
Now I can hear you okay. Where was that match won and lost? Bearing in mind, I think I saw about 6 points in the entire match.
Honestly, in the quality gap between the players. Like, Machac knew that he was gonna have to just play even more proactive than usual, take the ball even earlier. He was making a lot of errors, but they were just coming from what he needed to do in this match in order to have a shot. I think for this style, for this sort of brand of tennis, his +1 forehand is kind of not good enough. Like, many occasions where he has a big serve, but then he either can't really do anything from that position, just we start playing neutral anyway, despite a good serve, or he tries to go for a bigger forehand, but then he drops control over it. So yeah, I mean, he kind of couldn't do better than he did today, I think. I mean, obviously he could have had a better day at the office, as in like red line completely, but even that maybe wouldn't be enough. Like it's just a pretty big quality gap, and he tried his best to like take the racket out of Sinner's hands, but that just resulted in a lot of errors, obviously.
I was interested to hear or see in the chat earlier about Sinner's quite kind draw. I think O'Connell is probably the one that stands out at that stage, the fourth round. I mean, you could argue Machac as well here in the quarters, but if you beat Rublev en route and Andy Murray, and I'm just trying to think who else Machac beat, but you know, then it was probably the O'Connell one that stood out for me as being particularly soft. I know you highlighted Greek ball, and by the way, there's been a few bumps in the road for Sinner. There was no jeopardy. I guess there was a bit of jeopardy today with the rebreak, but some of the earlier rounds when he's obviously dropping a set to Greek's ball, and I think it went very deep in the second set, so he was obviously just a few points away there. And then he was down a break early on against O'Connell, but once he gets that back, it never felt down. But I was thinking earlier, though, regarding the draw. I don't really know whether it's Medvedev or Zverev that you would really want to avoid. Maybe for Sinner, it's Zverev, maybe.
No, it's still Daniel. I don't care I don't care about the fact that they played, you know, like what, 4 times in a row and Sinner won, right? But it's been some close matches between them, and simply like he's the better player, you know. Medvedev or Zverev, he's the better player than you. So I don't buy into this, despite the head-to-head being sort of turned around recently. I still don't think Daniel is someone who Sinner will be excited to play. Like he will still feel like, okay, this is my match. Like this is a guy that can absolutely match what I do. I don't think he would have quite the same idea going into a Zverev one. But obviously, yeah. Also, there's the fact that if you like look at the draw beforehand, before the tournament is played out, you expect Medvedev to make it to the semis, whereas Zverev you're not sure about. So, and we still actually can't be sure about Zverev. I mean, he plays Marozsan, the giant killer.
And nor Medvedev, I guess. I mean,
And nor Medvedev, yeah. I mean,
you'd
Jari,
make him a favour, but
fantastic top 10 record as well. I mean, Jari, obviously, it's not Fabian Marozsan fantastic, but he also has
no one else
a few more matches. He also has a few more matches. It's like, I don't know, 10, 12. I would have to check. I can do it actually very quickly, but it's a very good top 10 record. It's like Jari and Umber basically
do it while I remind the audience that I think it's a year now unbeaten for Sinner against Medvedev, which of course is only 4 matches, but it's interesting that it's exactly a year since Medvedev went 6-0 against him. I say exactly a year, not quite probably to the day.
They didn't play until Beijing then, right? So
yeah, right. Yeah,
I'd say it's like more 6 months.
yeah. But I'm just but it's anyway. It's just I just remember that you did the commentary. Funny enough, because I just arrived in Portugal.
I did
that particular day when you did the commentary for that final, and
because of Mario.
I thought you were on your own, but you
I
might
think
have
it
been
was
with.
Mario.
Yeah. What was the head-to-head, by the way, for Jari?
For Jari against the top 10, it's 9-11. So I was almost right. Yeah, it's pretty much like Umber type of stat. Like I know it's not even 50%, but like that's what you expect against top players for someone like Jari or Umber. If they are at like 45, that's awesome. That's like amazing. Yeah.
Sure. Where does this result leave Machac? As we head over onto the clay.
Top 50 debut. Still quite a lot of time to gain points because like the huge results. I mean, he's going to be defending a Houston quarter, but the huge results that he really has to defend is like September, first and foremost. I mean, he made the final in Cassis, he loses to Mattia Berrucci, and then he wins the back-to-back challengers in France. And these were pretty big. One of them over Draper, one of them over whoever in the final, I don't remember right now. And basically, maybe over Arthur Ferry, actually. So I think both Brits. But when it comes to that, like that's really the only month when he has, a ton of points sort of just stacked up. So Machac still has a lot to gain for the next few months. I don't know if particularly on the main tour he's going to be that dangerous on clay. I would probably say no. However, you still have events like Madrid. And again, he's like not really losing that many points. So it's very likely that Machac will keep rising in the rankings, at least a little bit. Of course, not winning this match kind of hurts, because if he did, like, he realistically could have been a seed for Roland Garros at Wimbledon. Right now, it will still require a lot of big results to get there, about 200 points, let's say, gained. But yeah, I mean, it's still fantastic for him to get to the quarters. Clearly, that was the max that he could have done this event. With Sinner in there, yeah, I mean, if it was Greek sport or if it was O'Connell, right? If Talon beats Sinner, we'd be talking about it differently. We'd be talking about Machac being the favorite against either player, a really prohibitive one against Chris as well. Against Talon, probably, you know, closer to 50-50. But yeah, I mean, if you get Sinner in there, it just seems that Ghosty was actually asking about this, like, how far is Jannik from that inevitability, you know? I don't remember how he called it exactly, but like, yeah, from that sort of feeling when like he has to be in the semis of every event. And Sinner is kind of the player right now who has the most of this on the tour. It's not Djokovic this year. It's not Medvedev, although he's close, and it's not been Alcaraz for a while. He might be very soon. He might be during the clay swing. He might be more so than Jannik. But at least on hardcores, the past, let's say, 6 months, it's actually Jannik who gives you the most confidence that he's gonna get there. Because yeah, since Shanghai, he's lost to Alcaraz and Djokovic only. And if we sort of take it a bit earlier than that, right? I mean, US Open, Zverev, Shanghai, Shelton, and Alcaraz Djokovic. Like, that's his only losses to since the US Open. So it does show you that, yeah, he's just not losing matches like this, and it's not particularly close either. I know what you mean about Talon, about that third round, but I just mean that, you know, at 5-all in the first, it did feel like a bit of a random game. And then in the second set, like, Hicksport never really had any shot. He fell into trouble at 4-5. He actually climbed out of this. At 5-6, he didn't. But like, these were the two games where the scoreboard pressure, you know, just gets to him and stuff. But before that, like, it was really just that one game that he managed to prevail in. Of course, given the fact that he was also saving a lot of breakpoints and just winning, you know, his holds, he managed to get himself into a decent position. Yes, he was 7-5 and 5-all, but he was never really that close. Let's just say that.
Okay, well, with that, Jannik Sinner awaits the winner of Daniel Medvedev and Nicolas Schaui, which is, of course, coming up later. And Sinner, yeah, so he's in the semi-final, and there's other quarterfinals still to come tomorrow, and one final women's quarterfinal this evening between Ekaterina Alexandrova and Jessica Pegula. But that brings our live stream to an end. Plenty to look forward to and plenty more to see. But yeah, to everybody else, you know the drill.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.